Welcome back, students. So I think you're all doing wonderful. As I promised, I told you, right, we'll be starting with the NEET series. So I've kept it in the community tab and the response was very good. So most of the students have asked me to start off with the rapid revision, means rank booster questions. What I did is I've selected a lot of questions for you all which are from every part, means it covers every topic of your NCERT. And even I have selected questions which will really boost up your rank. Let's see the question. In each and every, I'll be teaching 100 plus questions in the series. I'll be reading the question, I'll be giving you the explanation for that, and I'll also be telling you how to mark the answer, right? So let us start off today with the first question. As I promised, I'll be there with you all till the NEET exam, right? All the best, students. Let's start. So in this first question, I'll be going slowly and I'll be giving you all the concepts, so keep noting it. Right, let's read this. What do they give us? They've given a compound here. They've asked us which one is a quaternary carbon atom, whether it is C1, C2, C3 or C5. So basically, when such compound is given to you, first you need to give the number to this. Now confusion starts. Where to start from? Should I start from here or should I start from here? So basically, they said they've given the clue there are 5 carbons, right? So you have to remember, important thing is the carbon, or this is R, which one is a quaternary set. First of all, we very well know primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary. Quaternary is a carbon which is attached to, which doesn't have any hydrogen, isn't it, right? So carbon which doesn't have any hydrogen is called quaternary. Correct. So here this is a carbon, quaternary carbon, so they should get the minimum number, isn't it? So let us number this. This is 1, this is 2, right? This is 3, this is 4, right? So this becomes your 5, fifth one, and this is also fifth one. Now what is the correct answer? C2 is the correct answer, isn't it? Now C2 is a quaternary carbon atom which doesn't have any hydrogen. So this is the answer, C2. Done. So this is how you solve. I have done it in a simpler way. Let's come back and do the next question. Now let's come back and read the next question, students. What does this mean? Equal volumes of monoatomic and diatomic gases are taken at the same temperature. Okay, so they said equal volumes of monoatomic and diatomic gases are taken, and pressure, same temperature, they've taken at the same temperature and same pressure. The ratio of adiabatic or exponents of the gases will be. So once again, let's read. Equal volumes of monoatomic and diatomic gases are taken at the same temperature and pressure. Okay, the ratio of adiabatic exponents. So this is your clue which they've given. So adiabatic exponents of the gases will be. So first of all, equal volumes of monoatomic and diatomic they've given. So for monoatomic gases, what is the adiabatic expression? So let us take both. Right, so first one is for monoatomic gases and next one is for diatomic gases. Okay, so for monoatomic gases, the adiabatic exponent, how do you write? We represent it by, let us take for monoatomic as gamma 1. For diatomic, let us take it as gamma 2. So what is the formula? Gamma 1 is equal to Cp by Cv. So for gamma 2 will be Cp by same thing, Cp by Cv. Okay. What did they say? They said that taking the same temperature and pressure is set. Correct? Yes. So for monoatomic gases, Cp by Cv basically, right? So the gamma value is, how much is it? It is equal to 1.67. Correct? Yes. Now for this one, for diatomic gases, the adiabatic Cp by Cv value is 1.40. Now let us take the ratio of this. Therefore, gamma 1 is to gamma 2 ratio how much? 1.67 divided by 1.40. Right? Yes. So how much will it come to when I solve this? I get an answer of 1.19. This one is to 1. So the correct answer is 1.19. So just go back to the answer and mark it. Hope, students, this is clear. Now let's come back and read the third question. Gradually I'll be going into the difficulty level. So let's read this. So here what do they give us? Now this is an organic question. Let's see. Which amongst the following compounds has the highest acidic strength? So basically acidic strength. So what is this concept of acidic strength? You have to remember always, first important clue is whenever a question of acidic strength comes or highest acidic strength comes, you need to remember if there is an electron withdrawing group. Remember, if electron withdrawing group is there, acidic strength increases. Acidic strength increases. This is the first concept, right? Now suppose in the other way, if electron releasing groups are present, acidic strength decreases. Remember this. Now they asked me to write which has the highest acidic strength, isn't it? Now I have to check among all these which has more as electron withdrawing group, correct? Yes. Now we very well know among the compounds, electron releasing groups, what are they? Electron releasing groups are always alkyl groups. Remember, alkyl groups are electron releasing groups, right? And they have what effect do they show? They always show plus psi effect, right? So whenever there is an alkyl group present in that particular compound, automatically the acidic strength decreases. So remember this concept. Let us put this as 1, let us put this as 2. So alkyl group is there means acidic strength automatically decreases. Okay, acidic strength decreases because it is electron releasing, right? Right. Now let us come back and see which one has a alkyl group. So in the first compound, is there an alkyl group? Not there. In the second compound, there is an alkyl group here, CH3. In the third compound, there is again an alkyl group. There are how many alkyl groups? 2 alkyl groups. Me means 2 methyl groups, isn't it? 2 methyl groups. In the third one, there is 1 methyl group present. Correct? Now, among if I have to write the order, which has, I told you, wherever there is alkyl group, that is less acidic in nature. Wherever there is no alkyl group, that is more acidic in nature, highest acidity, right? So let us write the order now, right? So once again repeating, more of alkyl groups means less acidity, less of alkyl groups means more acidity, means electron withdrawing group should be there. Now in the first one, as I told you, there is no electron withdrawing groups, so the order would be CF3COOH, strongest among all those things. Next, let us see, this has 1 and there is one oxygen also here, right? So you can take that electron withdrawing, it will pull the electron, because it is electronegative, it will drag the electron density towards it, and hence it will become more acidic. This is one. Next, I have to compare between these two. Now this one has only one CH3COOH. Among that, the last one is methyl group, which has 2, so COOH. So because of the presence of alkyl group, it is less acidic. Because of the absence of alkyl group, this is more acidic. So the first option is the correct option. Let's come back and see the next question. Let's come back and do the next question, students. I hope slowly you are learning the concepts. Let's see this. So these are basically hand-picked questions, very important questions for your NEET examination. So let's read. Here what do they give us? At 0 degrees and 1 atmosphere pressure, a gas occupies 100 cc volume. If the pressure is increased to 1.5 times, the pressure is increased, it seems, and temperature is increased by 1/3 of the absolute temperature. Pressure is increased by 1.5 times and temperature is increased by 1/3 of the absolute temperature. The final volume of the gas will be, what is the final volume? They're asking us. They've given us 4 options, right? So basically, what is the formula which is relating pressure, volume and temperature, right? So we have 2 different things, isn't it? So for a gas, they said temperature is increased by 1.5 times and temperature is increased by 1/3 of absolute temperature. Let us write the formula. So the formula which is relating all these is nothing but P1 V1 by T1 is equal to P2 V2 by T2, correct? Now what is P1 in this? Basically P1 is, let's say, 1 atmosphere pressure. So P1 is 1 atmospheres. Then now what will be the P2? They said pressure is increased by 1.5 times. So pressure will be 1.5 times, that is 1.5 atmospheres. Now what is T1 here? T1 they said it is 0 degrees centigrade. Yeah, to 0 degrees centigrade is nothing but 273 Kelvin, correct? Now what is T2 now? T2 they said it is increased by 1/3 of absolute temperature. So what is absolute temperature? It is 273. Okay, basically I am converting that 273 plus 273 into 1/3 because it is increased 1/3 times. So this comes, when I divide, this comes to 364 Kelvin. Okay, T2 is this. Now what is V1 here? V1 they said 100 cc volume, so V1 is 100 cc. Now V2 I need to find, because they've asked me what is the final volume of the gas. Now apply these values in the formula which is given. So basically all the data is there, only I need to find V2. Now let's start off applying. So V2 I need to find out. Let us take V2 out. V2 is equal to cross multiply this with this and this cross multiply. So I get V2 is equal to 1 into 100 divided by 273 into 364 by 1.5. This is nothing but I cross multiply. This is P1. This value is your V1 and this is 1.5 as usual, which I have taken from here. When I solve this, I get an answer. V2 is equal to 88.9 cc. So this is the formula. So 88.9, that is the option B. Option B is the correct one. Right, students? So hope this is clear. So let us come back and do the next sum. So let's start off with this numerical, students. This is the thermodynamics numerical. Let's read this. So what do they give us? If the enthalpy of hydrogenation of benzene liquid is converted into C6H12, okay, right, then the enthalpy of hydrogenation, okay, the energy of while adding hydrogen is minus 205 kilojoules, and resonance energy of this is minus 152 kilojoules per mole, and the enthalpy of hydrogenation of this compound, conversion of this compound to this compound is what? I have to find that. So basically, first of all, I have to clearly know the terminology before I do this. What are they? You very well know enthalpy of hydrogenation, right? The energy, right? That is the heat evolved for hydrogenation. That is what is the concept, isn't it? Now let's see. First of all, I have to find out the enthalpy of hydrogenation. Now let us write the equation for this. So first of all, C6H6 was there, okay, the liquid. Now what did they do? They added hydrogen to this. They have used certain amount of energy to add hydrogen, okay. Why did I take 3? Because to balance it, because they have given me already C6H12, isn't it? So 6 hydrogens here, 6 hydrogens here, that's why I have taken 3 hydrogens. So this is hydrogen gas and this is the liquid. Now what did they say? The enthalpy of hydrogenation delta H HYD. This is enthalpy of hydrogenation of what? Of which one? C6H6 liquid. How much was it? It is minus 205 kilojoules, correct? Yes. Then benzene, basically this benzene is on the reactant side. So if benzene on the reactant side means I have to add resonance energy to this. They've given no, and resonance energy also they've given me. So I have to add resonance energy to this of benzene with a sign. Yes or no? Correct? Yes. So heat evolved for hydrogenation of 3 bonds means how much evolved, because resonance, this is on the side. I have to add the resonance energy and to add 3 hydrogens. What is the heat evolved? I have to write it. So let's come back into, I'm going to add minus 205 minus of 152. How much will this come to? This will come to minus 357 kilojoule per mole. Correct? Now delta H, that is enthalpy of hydrogenation. How many are there? 3 hydrogens we have added. So minus 357 by 3, which comes to minus 119 kilojoules per mole. So the correct option here is option D. Oh, this is clear, students. So because this is on this side, I need to add to this. I am adding that resonance energy. That is what they've given, and resonance energy of this also is given. So let's come back and do the next numerical. Hope this is clear. Read the question carefully, write the equation, write what is given, see where you have to add the given value, and then finally find out. Why did I take 3 here? Because it is, we are adding your means heat evolved for hydrogenation of 3 double bonds, isn't it? 3 double bonds I have to, because I broke those and then I added hydrogens, 3 hydrogens. Basically benzene has 1, 2, 3, isn't it? I broke those and I added. So 3 double bonds, I have taken this concept. Now let's come back and read the next question, students. Very easy question, I believe. Let's see this. What do they give us? For the purification, isolation and separation of organic compounds, the latest technique followed is, okay, so for purification, isolation and separation, what is the technique? They've given us 4 different techniques here: chromatography, steam distillation, fraction distillation and sublimation. basically when I have to speak, among all these, chromatography is a modern technique. What do? Here separation of mixtures is, they separate the mixtures into components. Whatever mixtures are there, they separate into different components. Here purification of this compounds is also done, means different purification techniques are applied. In this chromatography, paper chromatography, thin layer chromatography, all these different techniques are available. But when it comes to steam distillation, what is this? Here, what is steam distillation? Basically, it is distillation of a liquid in current of steam, correct? So here, to purify the liquid, means here we are going to purify the liquids which are not very volatile, means which are immiscible with water, right? So once again, steam distillation is distillation of a liquid in current of steam, and this technique is used to purify what? They are used to purify liquids that are not very volatile and which are immiscible. Now when it comes to fractional distillation, what do? This is basically separation technique. We are going to separate liquid mixtures into fractions. On what basis? We are going to see, based on the difference in boiling point, I am going to separate those. Here in sublimation, what is the sublimation? Basically, it is a transition of a substance directly from solid phase to gaseous phase, correct? They are going to transfer from the transform, or it gets converted, solid gets converted to gaseous phase without any liquid phase. So solid directly to gaseous state, correct? Right? Sublimation is endothermic, means you have endothermic phase transition also in this. Fine. So now what I'm trying to tell you, among all these techniques, hope this is clear. Here we are going to do the distillation of liquid in current of steam. Here we are going to separate it based on boiling point. Here solid is getting converted to gaseous phase without liquid. So the latest technique is chromatography, where we separate, means there will be separation of mixtures into components. Okay, so answer is, latest technique is chromatographic technique.